This is Jeremy Zwinger with the Rice Chatter, just bringing your October 1st TRT summary. Just to start out, of course, we're getting very close to the World Conference. As I've warned many times, the hotel is going to sell out, and those of you who listened have hotel rooms, and those who don't, there's luckily many hotels within walking distance. You can definitely still get accommodations, but you also want to move quickly on that. To make sure that you have accommodations in the area, because it's going to be a very large conference. We have very heavy registrations. I mean, we have potential to break the largest attendance we've ever had in history. So definitely make sure you've registered and got your hotel rooms, and I look forward to seeing you just in under 2 weeks. So it's coming up very quickly on October 10 to 12. With that, let's get into the market summary. It's actually been a very interesting week, and I was traveling most of this week and the last week, and so we skipped a week on me doing a summary of the market. And there's actually a lot of activity occurring on both the political and trade side, weather as well. So it's an interesting time that we have to watch closely, and it may be for all of us a time to read the detail in the TRT a little bit more, look at the data, and look what's coming. Many of our projections have come exactly right. Many of our concerns throughout this year have come very much exactly right. And so I would definitely get into the data as this gets into a more complicated market. First off, obviously the Philippines is the key point for the week. You know, as we all know, they've been able to gander talks of additional purchases, 500,000 and another 250,000, which would take it up to officially 750, in addition to the grade trade we all know about. This is very interesting. Definitely has been some damage on the weather concerns, and we need to watch this closely. You know, on that, it has definitely affected prices, which we'll talk about in a second, as people look at this as a short-term bump to their demand schedule, which is very much needed. So definitely watch the Philippines, watch the politics in the Philippines occurring, and also just how much trade is going to go there. Going from there, of course, is Iraq. Iraq has been very active. They bought 90,000 tons from fragrant rice from Vietnam at about 540. There's also a new tender coming up on Monday. There is talk of it going to a U.S. It's 30,000 tons asked for. It will be difficult to know. Actually, maybe by next Friday we will have the results. Some believe it will be U.S. or South America. Again, there still is an amazing spread between the U.S. with lower quality than Asia. So that may happen, but it's, again, just a political trade. What else do we see? Moves us into China, really. You know, similar points we've already said much of our time. China continues to be the disruptor of this market, not buying as much in imports, exporting significant amounts, especially to Africa, and definitely adding a new aggressive player into the market that has affected overall global trade. We all know this. We predicted it at the World Conference. The level of trade has surprised some, but they continue to be very active and probably will be into the future. Which, of course, I have to talk about the U.S.-Chinese trade war. It is getting worse, not better. This is affecting the global community. I've seen some indications, some inside information, if you will, on what it's doing to the U.S. Rail freight is significantly down in the U.S. Midwestern states trade as much as 80 to 90% of their soybeans to China, who is what I hear telling their staff to not buy U.S. material of any grains, if at all possible, including higher prices. This is a very big piece of news from those players, which we have confirmed. How much it can be held to is a question, but it's surely decreasing trade balances. We also hear this is affecting the Panama Canal. Panama Canal trade is definitely down to the point where special meetings are occurring because the expected flow is going to be much less out of the Gulf going through and going to China than many expected. So it's a very interesting time. I don't see President Trump moving from his position. I don't see the Chinese moving from his position. I continue to say what I've said for many months. This is a multi-year issue with very heavy supplies in wheat, rice, soybeans, with large crops coming off right now. This is like the late 80s, early 90s. And many of the people younger in our industry, younger in the farm community, have never experienced tougher times. Never experienced what it's like to really have to work for very small trades when trade is difficult, going down, and there's major tariffs and major restrictions on trade. That's where we are today, and I don't see it getting better. We are in a very volatile time, which we'll talk more about the World Conference. It's extremely volatile, and we have to watch it very closely. This is why I remain negative price. If you've seen this week, Viet prices were up to 410 from 397 on high quality. Viet or Thai prices were up to 398, so the Viets are the highest by far. PAC was pretty even, but India is still down this week on 375. At that price, India is the price to make this week. You just have to say it. The quality in India is definitely at that level where it would probably be, if a person can take Indian rice, the best origin price versus a quality for sure. That's a cheap price, definitely. Brokens are exceptionally cheap price at 330, or low qualities, at 330, and brokens are extremely cheap at 275 for those that can use brokens. So again, I remain very negative on price. A lot of my friends aren't as negative as me, so you have to take the Jeremy piece. That I'm normally a positive person, but I'm seeing a lot of inside data that leads me to be negative. Most people say it's $20 up or down from today, probably just ranging. I could very much be wrong. Outside of that, there is a lot of other key pieces happening. I see that we are down on the year by 2.34% on the 5 majors. This is being led by African trade, which is off 15% on the year for the 5 major exporters. 15%. And this is really the story of the year with China and the decrease in trade and large food supplies. And of course, like we do every week, we have a special section. This African information is much more in depth in our section 10, where we do a very large summary of Africa, which is very helpful for those that are trading in that area and just watching the data. And again, a lot of these same points we've made, but I see this market continuing to be difficult. There is these flashes. You got to watch for weather, watch for key things. It's a very highly political environment right now with a lot of instability, and just going to be a time we have to watch things closely. Just to kind of close things out and talk a little bit about the U.S. The U.S. is even more interesting besides the politics of Trump and of the current Supreme Court debacle kind of occurring right now. But actually, as of this weekend, the U.S. Farm Bill subsidy program expires. This is quite amazing. It actually refers to a 1940-ish law, which would be very fascinating because it would change the landscape of U.S. trade in rice and other things significantly. It would take promotion dollars out of FMD, MAP money significantly. It would definitely affect how the U.S. rice industry functions and the grain industry functions. Obviously, that really can't happen, but it is very fascinating that they're going to allow this law to expire and not be renewed as of Monday. There's not clarity what that means. There is some talk that programs will continue until December 31st, but watching just per the law, the Farm Bill will expire over the weekend, and clearly there is going to be no change by Monday, and we need to watch this closely as well. It is a signal of the deadlock and instability in Washington, D.C. right now. So with that, again, there's a lot going on throughout the globe, and we just have to watch it closely. And I just want to thank you for your time. This is Jeremy Zwinger again with the Rice Trader, and I hope this is a good summary of the Rice Trader for October 1st.